All right, let's kick off this explainer with a statistic that honestly just blew my mind. 90% of people absolutely cannot maintain a slim physique after a diet. I mean, think about that for a second. All that calorie counting, all the misery, restricting your life, just to bounce right back to exactly where you started, it's incredibly frustrating. But why does it happen? Well, today we're going to look at the hard data to find out exactly why. Welcome to our deep dive into the extensive biological insights compiled from the really incredible Life Explained by Science research. In this explainer, we're going to decode exactly how sustainable body transformation actually works. We're tossing out all those crazy fads and looking purely at cellular biology and metabolic science. We really want to understand what your body actually needs to thrive, heal, and stay lean permanently. So yeah, no miserable cabbage soup diets required here. So here is our roadmap for today. First, we'll cover why most diets fail. Then, autophagy and cellular repair. Third is the science of walking. Fourth, surprising nutritional hacks. And we'll wrap up with secrets to extreme longevity. This is basically your complete roadmap for your metabolism. Okay, jumping right into section 1, why most diets fail. Let's look at why traditional extreme calorie restriction is just a biological dead end. The good news? Escaping that 90% failure rate doesn't mean you have to starve yourself. It actually means adopting 5 specific science-backed daily habits. The research clearly shows it's not about making these huge, sweeping, miserable changes for just a few weeks. Instead, keeping a slim physique really comes down to consistent, manageable routines. Because, consistent routines will always outlast temporary fixes simply because they actually work with your metabolism instead of constantly fighting against it. Moving on to section 2, autophagy and cellular repair. This brings us to the real microscopic hero of our explainer. So autophagy is your body's natural state of self-regeneration. Honestly, think of it kind of like your body's own internal recycling program. When you aren't constantly feeding it, your system brilliantly shifts its energy away from digestion and right over to housekeeping. It actively seeks out all the junk, the weak, damaged cells, and literally consumes them to build fresh, healthy new ones. It is repairing you from the inside out. It's amazing how fast your body responds once this starts. By day 3, you're not just burning fat, your actual skin is regenerating. And your gut bacteria, which, by the way, controls your cravings and your mood, is completely transforming. If you can actually allow this process to reach the 7-day mark, research shows those damaged, lingering cells are completely cleared out. We're talking about a total biological reset. It's fascinating. All right, section 3, the science of walking. Because you don't always need intense, agonizing cardio to see real results. Listen to what happens inside your fat cells during a simple 30-minute walk. It starts off with immediate cardiovascular benefits. It literally acts as medicine for your heart right at the 10-minute mark. But watch what happens next. At 20 minutes, actual fat burning initiates. And then by minute 30, those stubborn, super dangerous visceral fat cells that surround your organs, they are actively reacting and breaking down. All from just walking. Now, there is a really stark contrast between a 20-minute and a 45-minute walk. While 20 minutes definitely lights the match, extending that duration just a little bit longer is what unlocks deep visceral fat oxidation. The science tells us loud and clear that the longer duration is where the absolute magic happens for that deeply stored belly fat most of us struggle to lose. But timing matters just as much as duration. We've all been told forever to hit the treadmill at the crack of dawn, right? Well, the data actually suggests that a brisk walk in the evening stabilizes your blood sugar after your daily meals. And doing that creates the optimal environment to burn fat while you sleep. Pretty cool, right? However, if you are a morning person and prefer that routine, performing your cardio in a fasted state boosts fat oxidation by a massive 30%. Since your body has absolutely no food to draw energy from, it's forced to immediately tap into those stored fat reserves. That's a 30% boost in efficiency just by changing when you eat your breakfast. It's a real game changer. Okay, let's jump to section 4, surprising nutritional hacks. Because physical movement isn't the only way to heal. So get this, you don't necessarily have to starve to trigger cellular repair. Certain specific amino acids, like methionine, which is found heavily in, of all things, a simple plate of beans, can actively trick your body into a state of autophagy without fasting. This is just incredible news for anyone who really struggles with going long periods without food, but still wants all those amazing regenerative benefits. And you can think of this protein first rule as your new massive dietary cheat code. By prioritizing protein at the very beginning of your meal, you fundamentally alter your body's insulin response. It totally prevents those massive blood sugar spikes that lead to fat storage. That means you are naturally targeting visceral fat literally just by changing the order of the foods you eat off your plate.
Now, a quick warning, because it's not just about what you do, but what you avoid. You absolutely must avoid these 5 common intermittent fasting mistakes. The source research shows that errors like severely restricting calories during your eating window, or even just ignoring hydration, won't just stall your progress. They can cause rebound weight gain, and worse, they actively and secretly damage your heart. We really have to fast smartly, not recklessly.
We also have an immediate health warning straight from oncologist Dr. William Lee. He points out 4 specific foods you must absolutely never reheat. Doing so actually changes their chemical structure at a molecular level, introducing toxins and carcinogens into your body, and that actively damages your cellular health, completely fighting against all the positive autophagy we've been working so hard to create in the first place. Which brings us to our final part, Section 5, Secrets to Extreme Longevity. Let's look at the ultimate payoff of all this biological optimization. Let's dive right into centenarian science. We're looking at 3 complex but incredibly potent anti-aging compounds, spermidine, NMN, and peptides. Now, these aren't your basic grocery store multivitamins. These supplements actively work on the cellular level to preserve DNA, boost your cellular energy production, and signal the body to remain in a youthful, highly regenerative state. But hey, if you prefer whole foods over supplements, you can actually consume these 5 specific items to naturally repair mitochondrial damage and reverse cellular aging. Nature has already given us this dense, nutrient-packed energy that directly feeds the power centers of our cells. And repairing your mitochondria, that is exactly how you maintain energy and vitality way into your later years. This brings us to the profile of what researchers call elite agers. The research highlights 6 unique daily habits that the absolute healthiest 75 to 85-year-olds flat out refuse to give up. These individuals aren't just living longer, they're living better. They remain mobile, sharp, and physically capable simply because they relentlessly protect their metabolic health every single day through these routines. Which leaves us with this final, truly fascinating question to ponder as we wrap up today's explainer. What is actually happening inside the cells of a 100-year-old? And more importantly, when you look at the food you eat, the way you walk, and how you allow your cells to repair, is your daily routine putting you on that exact same trajectory? Really think about the habits you're building today and whether they're setting you up to absolutely thrive tomorrow.